Hey, so in this video, we're going to check out some of our favorite demo scenes to showcase quality cinema at home and especially pushing the system to the max. So here's some of the discs that we play often to test out a system or invoke the emotion of cinema. So it really gives people a chance to feel what these epic new cinemas are all about. So let's check it out. One which we play all the time happens to be a Michael Bay film. It's not Transformers, it's 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. And this is a cracker for dynamic impact. And the real test on this one is how well a system is time aligned between the subwoofers and the integration into the front channel speakers, because the machine gun impact, which is so well recorded and so dynamic in the soundtrack, is actually up around in the 90 hertz region. That is, it plays exactly where the subwoofers and the speakers work together. Now, if that's been well time aligned and calibrated with, of course, a good powerful system, it's going to feel so visceral that, as I say to some of the people in the show, it was like, it feels like someone's got a 4x2 bit of timber and it's smacking the back of your seat. It has such an impact. Yet we run no shakers, no seat motion whatsoever in this room. We run very serious bass. It's the sonic impact, the pure sound of the room can create such a serious impact. So that's what we love about 13 Hours. Really dynamic movie, excellent for gunshot scenes, and most people say to us after a demo, wow, I've never heard a sound system sound so realistic as real gunfire. And these are people that are marksmen, they work with guns, and they say, wow. So 13 Hours right there. The next one, Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, of course, this is just spectacular music, classic music, though the scene is the We Will Rock You. And it starts off with them meeting in the studio before going into a full live stadium. So you get a mixture of the Foley noise and the conversation before going into the rock stadium. Now, what I love about this is actually what I listen to is the clap. Now, a good system, that clap's going to sound like a real clap. Now, a clap occurs right in the mid-range frequency, which means that for a speaker system, it's going to be relying on the mid-bass drivers and the tweeters all together, and you can hear whether your system is well time-aligned in the speaker itself, so it should sound clear, sharp, and natural, or does it sound a little bit dull? So interestingly, it's actually the clap I listen to a lot on that one. Then when they roll into the actual show, and then when you get, there's a Brian May, the lead guitarist, when he starts ripping that guitar, it should be really dynamic. The sound and the energy should lift up when that guitar licks, not just stay sort of standard. So it also really showcases dynamic range, not to mention a decent bass impact. The next one here is the Deadpool scene on the bridge. And look, this is just a good fun scene. Always check with people first. Do you mind a little bit of Ryan Reynolds humor and Deadpool? They're like, let's put it on. It is a good funny scene for those that don't mind that sort of humor, and it's got some great shots with literally the gunfire of the bullet countdown. You can hear the tinkle of the bullets. You got some good sort of bass impact in the background music, and it's just a really cool all-rounder. The video is a little bit muted. It's a little bit kind of gray. It's not the most bright, but I can tell you when you've got a beautiful P3 color projection system, the red blood is really red and it feels more gory. So it will showcase, you do get more feeling even in the video of that movie when you've got a really deep color space. So that's something else I do like to look for on that one. Highly anticipated is the Dune series, and the first one already went straight out of the gate. Amazing cinematography and epic sound score thanks to Hans Zimmer. So even the very intro scene has just this massive, beautiful analog sort of drum sound which flows through the whole movie, And it's actually the first worm scene of the movie where they're in the hangar and they get set into the helicopter type device and send their way out to see the actual spice fields. And it's in this scene we're getting that massive orchestral soundtrack, we're getting some great flight scenes and these moments of pause or serenity or no sound at all, like when the wings fold back for the helicopter and then they drop in. Massive bass with the worm, along with the orchestral score, along with all the sand, loads up a sound system like you wouldn't believe. So if you've got a lack of power supply in your amplification, you're going to find out on movies like this. So it really does put a stress on the system because it just plays so loud, but that adds to the intensity, the score along with the action. Absolutely amazing. So that scene, one not for the faint-hearted, especially with level. So that one is a big one we like to test out for really seeing how much guts the sound system really has. Because it's one thing to play loud for a couple gunshots, it's another thing to play loud for like a few minutes on end. And that's really where systems start to let go a little bit. So massive one now, fantastic soundtrack, and yeah, a really intense movie all around. Next one along is John Wick. Now you can pretty much say play John Wick in every chapter. You're going to test out any sound system. Now the gunfire is well recorded and well executed, though the one we've been testing a little bit is the very opening scene of chapter 4 where it has the punching bag hit. Now this is very loud and many sound systems will struggle with that first impact, but what they do to really beat the audience around a bit is that punch goes a good couple of times. You go, all right, this is pretty full on, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. Now, a sound system will start to get warm, the amplifiers might start to drain, and if you don't have a good, clean system, I'd find most people before the last few punches would actually reach for the volume and turn it down because it's just a bit too much dynamics, and if it's a bit edgy, you probably won't survive. So that one's a really cool one, but be careful because that will blow systems up. Now this one, No Time to Die. James Bond, the last of potentially that series. I think they've announced a new Bond, I'm not sure. This is beautiful picture. In fact, the first few scenes of this movie in Italy is absolutely stunning, really dynamic, beautiful HDR, and the scene where they jump to the Aston Martin and zooming around, a bit of a chase scene, really great video. And you got the silver Aston Martin, really good for viewing grayscale on your picture calibration. Skin tones are in there, and they end up in the town square. And the town square, they're surrounded, and there's gunfire from all the way around. These are the bells overhead from the Dolby Atmos, and I find that once the guns start firing in towards the car, you can squeeze the volume a bit more. So I tend to give it an extra 3 or 4 on the volume dial and really push that soundtrack even further. And the surround effects channels are really working. You've got full-on gunfire from the effects channels. It's a good test on whether or not your effects channels are actually keeping up suitably with your LCRs, because it should be really powerful, really strong. And again, with great clarity in your front end, when they're firing into the mirrors, the windscreen, into the glass of the car, the audience should be tensed up and concerned that the bullet's going to fly through. If it doesn't feel like these are immense danger, then the sound system is not on the money. So very cool scene, great picture, and always let that scene play on. I love to play the entire chapter till they're into the train, and then they say goodbye, the train passes, and then that intro music starts. And it still my hair's going in every time. It's actually really quite an emotional scene. You've got to let it play through. And I see some people demoing, if it's to their friends or if it's professionals or it's at a show, they cut the scenes really short. Whereas I like to allow the introduction, let it flow through, and let it simmer at the end. And that allows the emotion to sink in as well. It's not just all about energy, impact, and action. It really needs to be about the drama as well. No Time to Die, brilliant scene. And it's in CinemaScope as well. So you can go big screen, CinemaScope, it's bright, it's dynamic, really beautiful. The classic here, well, become a classic with Dolby Atmos fans, A Quiet Place, which is really what it says on the tin. The soundtrack is of really ambient sound most of the time, and it's the lack of audio that makes this so impactful, because when there is sound, it is especially meaningful. And it will test your system out in the way of the system being sound, picture, and your room. The room is always going to be really the most critical part of your experience. So a quiet room is really required for any movie, especially this movie. So a favorite scene is coming into the basement, and overhead, the level above the characters, is the creaking and the sounds of said creature, and it actually sits right up above you, and it's super creepy. It's very effective. Very good demonstration of Dolby Atmos, but also a good tester for feeling out how well the system's actually placing that sound around the room. So something a little bit more fun and friendly for the kids is Spider-Man. This particular one is on the bridge scene when the octopus style guy comes in. Nice bright image, it's during the daytime, and then you've got the crumbling sound of the freeway getting smashed up as the guy comes through. There's a good dialogue in this, but what I love the most about this one is actually when I think it's Spider-Man actually gets thrown into the windscreen, and when the impact of the windscreen happens, there's this crack, there's this pop, there's this depth. It to me sounds so real that something is just smashed through glass. So it's really well recorded, that part. And if it's not kind of, it almost gives you a jump scare, because you're like, oh, wow, something's just broken. It's very cool. So good little sequence, good scene, that one. We've got Ready Player One. Now this one people have played a lot as well, and it is a reference for many people in the industry. Now the race scene includes a lot of actions, a lot of effects happening through the room. There's even effects happening around the back channels with the King Kong sort of running around the back of the room. Super deep bass with the dinosaur, with the wrecking balls, with King Kong. Very full impact. Picture's pretty good, but it's a lot of CGI. It's probably more of a 2K render most of the time, I'd imagine. That's really about mega sound. And it's a really cool movie for the whole family. So if you're getting a new cinema and you're wondering what movie to play, there's lots of cameos, lots of references to classic cinema. So that one could be really popular, and it is definitely an epic soundtrack. Of course, Top Gun, or really Top Gun Maverick, the very latest, of course, the latest tech. Video spectacular, all IMAX camera work, and yes, real actors and real aircraft. The video and cinematography is something that will probably never be done again, to be quite honest. Massive for infrasonic bass as well. The recordings have really great texture of bass and a lot of different tones. It's not just the same sound all the time. In fact, when you go back to the original Top Gun, you can kind of go and the next thing and the next thing. It's kind of they're repeating the same sound over and over for the sound effect. In Top Gun Maverick, completely different textures and tones and depth of bass throughout the scene. So it's really something new and something to experience from one part of the scene to the other. It's quite the experience. I really love the main mission scene as they come through the valley, and especially through the bridge. They bank through the bridge, and it's sort of, and you get the sense of that object flying through you or you flying through that object. It's really, really pretty phenomenal. As they get through that and the SAMs start firing, particularly when you have a big screen. So we're pushing like 65-degree viewing angles in our room, which I love. Not every projector can really do that. You need a good resolution, powerful projector to go super wide. The bigger you go, the more you're exposed. So you need a good quality projector to go big, and you need some power. So we've got about 160-inch CinemaScope screen in this room. We're at these big viewing angles, and when you've got the SAMs firing, right? Boom, the sound pops, the missile fires, and it goes from one side of the screen to the other. Well, the bigger the screen you have, the faster it appears they're moving. The SAMs aren't going from here to here, they're going from here to here. And that whole intensity of the scene really picks up. Also, as they're going through the valley and they're climbing the mountain, the wingman is behind the other aircraft. On a smaller screen, even when we drop that down to say 45-degree viewing angles, which for many people is quite suitable, I kind of lose the context of the wingman. I don't kind of notice that they're in there. I don't quite notice the valley. But when we go out to the big screen sizes, then you can see the next pilot right there. You can see the edges of the valley. And of course, there's that sense of speed as movement across the screen is now kind of increased in its scale. So Top Gun on a big screen with the big sound is definitely just such a radically different experience. And I've watched this in D-Box rooms, I've watched in IMAX, I've watched in so many cinema rooms. And yeah, when you really nail it, this movie just comes alive. Afterburners, the whole lot. Say no more, you guys have no doubt seen it. A lot of scenes are going to cut the mustard. So these are just some of our favorite movies for demo, some of the parts that we look for to test the system and to give people a really phenomenal experience so they can get a sense of, well, why even get this home theater thing? Are they any good? Well, these chapters absolutely prove that. And it's fair to say that for really all our clients at delivery, they're like, wow, I do not need to go to the movies anymore. This is way better. And of course, that's a combination of good sound, good picture, but good implementation. That is great planning, the right engineering of the room, getting everything placed up well. And it's all these little tweaks, all little changes. That's what adds up to actually a winning experience. So, and that's what it's all about, truly the experience. How does it feel in the room? It's not just expensive products. It's really the implementation. And these movies are a great showcase. So I hope that's been of value for you. Feel free to comment and share any of the movies and scenes that you love. And if these are rocking your world as well, please share and let us know how it's going on your system. And if your system is exposed by any of these scenes and you're far out, I think I'm missing something here, reach out. That's what we're here for. We can consult and look at that next level for your system, fill in that gap and make it even more immersive. Thanks for watching. I'm Scott Rogan, founder and lead designer of Rogue Home Cinema. Remember to subscribe, check out our website for more, and we'll see you next time.